Trump's tariffs are reshaping the American auto industry overnight. Stellantis laid off 900 workers in hours, with thousands more at risk. But this isn't just about job sits, a global showdown threatening iconic brands. A cataclysmic tremor shakes the American auto industry to its core. In April 2025, President Donald Trump's audacious 25% tariff on imported cars and components strikes like a thunderbolt, sending shockwaves through Stellantis, the automotive titan behind Jeep, Dodge, Ram, and Chrysler. These brands are not mere corporations. They are pillars of American identity, embodying the spirit of open roads, raw power, and relentless innovation. Yet, this policy, designed to resurrect domestic manufacturing, threatens to topple their legacy, exposing the fragility of a globalized economy. Within hours of the tariffs announcement, Stellantis halts production at critical plants and lays off 900 U.S. workers temporarily, a swift and brutal reaction that signals an impending crisis. This is no minor policy shift, it's an economic earthquake, fracturing supply chains and igniting a firestorm of tension between nations. The tariffs are a rallying cry to bring jobs back to American soil, a vision rooted in pride and self-reliance. But their immediate fallout is chaos, a whirlwind of disruption that spares no one. Stellantis shutters 2 cornerstone factories, Windsor, Canada, and Toluca, Mexico, leaving 7,000 workers unemployed, 500 in Windsor, the heart of Chrysler's minivan production, and 500 in Toluca, where Jeep's Compass and Dodge's Journey are crafted. These closures are not isolated incidents. They ripple across borders, straining the intricate economic ties that bind the US, Canada, and Mexico. Canada's expertise in electronics, and Mexico's affordable labor costing nearly half that of US. Workers are the backbone of Stellantis's cost-efficient model. By targeting imports, the US risks transforming allies into adversaries, threatening the harmony of the North American trade bloc. Imagine a global chess match where each move reshapes the board. The US plays aggressively, wielding tariffs as a weapon. But Canada and Mexico are no mere pawns. Retaliatory tariffs loom on the horizon, with Canada eyeing US agricultural exports, think wheat, corn, and dairy, and Mexico considering levies on American tech or food products. This escalation could ignite a full-scale trade war, where jobs, industries, and alliances crumble. The US auto industry faces a staggering $107.7 billion surge in production costs, with Stellantis bearing a disproportionate $41.9 billion burden. These figures are not abstract. They represent silenced assembly lines, shattered livelihoods, and a legacy teetering on the brink. The tariffs are a high-stakes gamble, meant to restore American dominance but sowing discord across borders. Can Stellantis and the industry it anchors weather this seismic upheaval? The tariffs are tearing apart the lives of auto workers across 3 nations. Over 7,000 workers lost their jobs in a single day. Yet, the real tragedy isn't just unemployment. It's the betrayal of communities built on these brands. The tariffs don't just shutter factories, they crush dreams and fracture communities. In Windsor, Canada, 500 Chrysler workers, who poured their lives into crafting Pacifica and Voyager minivans, now face unemployment, their futures clouded by uncertainty. In Toluca, Mexico, 500 Jeep and Dodge workers, the hands behind the Compass and Journey, share the same grim fate. Across the US, 900 workers tied to these supply chains are idled, their skills rendered obsolete by a policy meant to champion American labor. These are not faceless statistics. They are the mothers, fathers, and neighbors who form the backbone of towns built around the rhythm of factory life. Picture a small town where the factory's pulse is its lifeblood. In Windsor, Chrysler's plant was a community anchor, fueling local businesses, funding schools, and nurturing aspirations for generations. In Toluca, workers took pride in building vehicles that roared with American spirit, their craftsmanship a testament to their skill. Now, silence grips these towns, as the economic fallout of mass layoffs spreads like wildfire. Diners close, grocery stores see fewer customers, and schools face budget cuts that threaten the future. One worker, a 15-year veteran at Stellantis, embodies this pain. Her nephew, A.J. King, shares her anguish. She shouldn't be one of the ones laid off. Her years of dedication, her expertise, discarded in the collateral damage of a policy meant to protect. This crisis is a geopolitical battle, with workers caught in the crosshairs. Mexico's labor costs, nearly half those in the US, made Toluca a strategic hub, while Canada's technical prowess in electronics made Windsor indispensable. The tariffs, by punishing these partnerships, forced Stellantis to confront an impossible choice: remain global and face crippling levies, or relocate to the US SOF and grapple with labor costs that are double and the daunting prospect of building new factories, a process that would take years and billions. Resources Stellantis can scarcely afford as profits dwindle. The company is trapped in a vice, squeezed between national pride and economic reality. Workers, the heart of these iconic brands, bear the brunt of this struggle, their livelihoods sacrificed in a high-stakes clash over trade and sovereignty. The human cost extends beyond the factory floor. Local economies in Windsor and Toluca teeter on the edge as the ripple effects of layoffs devastate small businesses and erode community stability. In the US, the 900 idled workers face uncertainty, their specialized skills tied to a supply chain now in disarray. Stellantis has pledged retraining and severance, but these are cold comforts when jobs vanish overnight. The tension between nations' U.S. ambition versus Canadian and Mexican partnership fuels this tragedy, leaving workers as unwitting casualties in a global economic war. America's most iconic auto brands are fighting for survival. Jeep, Dodge, Ram, and Chrysler are bleeding from tariff wounds. But it's not just about carsets, about losing the soul of a nation. Jeep, Dodge, Ram, and Chrysler are America's soul forged in steel and chrome. Jeep embodies the untamed freedom of open trails. Dodge roars with unapologetic muscle. Ram powers the heartland's relentless toil, and Chrysler weaves innovation into the fabric of luxury. But the tariffs threaten to strip these brands of their essence, testing their resilience in a world where national policies collide with global interdependence. Each brand faces a unique assault, their identities battered by a storm that spares no one. Jeep. The Compass, born in Toluca, grinds to a halt as imported engines and electronics soar in cost, their prices inflated by the tariffs bite. Even US-built Wrangler and Grand Cherokee models falter, choked by disruptions in Canadian and Mexican supply chains. Dealerships stand barren, with month-long waitlists mocking Jeep's promise of adventure and escape. This isn't just a supply chain issue, it's a betrayal of a brand that thrives on the call of the wild, leaving loyalists stranded in a gridlock of delays. Dodge. The Charger and Challenger, America's muscle icons, limp as Brampton, Canada's production slows, hammered by pricier transmissions and steel. Detroit's Durango grapples with parts shortages, sparking outrage on social media, where fans vent their frustration over delays and price surges. Dodge's defiant spirit, built on burnout clouds and drag-strip glory, is bruised by a tariff wall that taxes its very soul. Ram. The Sterling Heights, built Ram 1500, reliant on Mexican engines and Canadian electronics, faces idled shifts, its production slashed by shortages. Heavy-duty models, the lifeblood of farmers, contractors, and builders, grow scarce, with prices climbing, shaking faith in a brand synonymous with unwavering reliability. Ram's promise to carry the heartland's burdens is tested as availability dwindles. Chrysler. The Windsor-built Pacifica minivan, a cornerstone for families, stops dead, leaving dealers empty and customers adrift. The 300 sedan's future fades as costs spiral, threatening Chrysler's storied legacy of innovation with obscurity. A brand once synonymous with American luxury now teeters on the edge, its heritage at risk. These brands are ensnared in a global tug-of-war. Stellantis's supply chains, meticulously optimized for efficiency across borders, are now a liability, exposed by tariffs that punish cross-border trade. The US plighted, demands self-sufficiency, but the world is a web of interdependence, like arteries in a living organism. Vehicle prices could leap 2,040 within a year, pushing a base Jeep Compass beyond 30,000 and a Ram 1500 past 50,000. These aren't just price hikes, they're barricades, locking out loyal customers and shrinking market share. Inflation-weary Americans, already stretched thin, may turn away, leaving these brands to fight for relevance in a market that no longer affords their dreams. The clash between national pride and global reality threatens to redefine these icons, forcing them to adapt or fade into history. The tariffs are rewriting the rules of the global auto industry. They could cost the US $107.7 billion and Stellantis $41.9 billion alone. But the real danger isn't just money, it's a trade war that could fracture North America. The tariffs are a tsunami, crashing far beyond Stellantis' factories and reshaping the global economic landscape. The US auto industry stares down a $107.7 billion cost surge, a burden shared with rivals Ford and General Motors. Stellantis, however, carries a crushing $41.9 billion, a weight that could derail its ambitions and threaten its survival. This isn't just an American crisis, it's a global reckoning, straining the delicate ties that bind the US, Canada, and Mexico in a complex economic dance. The US-Mexico-Canada Agreement, USMCA, crafted to foster unity and cooperation, now feels like a battlefield. Mexico's low-cost labor and Canada's technical prowess were the cornerstones of Stellantis' strategy, enabling it to compete in a cutthroat global market. The tariffs, by targeting imports, fracture this foundation, turning partners into potential adversaries. Canada could retaliate with tariffs on US agricultural goods, hitting farmers already reeling from inflation and market volatility. Mexico might target American tech or food exports, deepening the economic rift and disrupting supply chains further. Such retaliation risks a full-blown trade war, where jobs, industries, and alliances are reduced to collateral damage. Consumers are caught in the undertow, their wallets strained by the tariffs' fallout. Rising vehicle cost a Jeep Compass at $30,000, a Ram 1000, $500 at $50,000 threatened the American dream of car ownership, a symbol of independence and mobility. Families, battered by inflation, may abandon Stellantis for foreign brands like Toyota or Hyundai, which rely less on North American supply chains and may weather the tariff storm more effectively. Stellantis' market share could erode, weakening its cultural grip and diminishing the resonance of its brands. This is the cruel paradox. A policy designed to shield American industry may empower global competitors, shifting economic power to Asia and Europe. The broader economic implications are staggering. The tariffs expose the fragility of global supply chains, revealing how deeply intertwined nations are in the modern economy. The US seeks self-reliance, but the world is a tapestry, woven from countless threads, raw materials from Mexico, electronics from Canada, and assembly in the US. Sever one thread, and the entire fabric risks unraveling. The tension between national ambition and global interdependence defines this crisis, forcing Stellantis to navigate a treacherous path where every decision carries monumental consequences. Stellantis is battling to save America's auto legends. They're betting billions on electric vehicles to dodge tariffs. But the real fight isn't just about carsets, about preserving a way of life. Stellantis stands defiant in the face of the tariff storm. Refusing to be broken, the company charts a bold and perilous course to secure its future. Electrification is its lifeline, a strategic pivot to counter the tariff's chokehold. Jeep's Wagoneer S, an all-electric SUV slated for release in 2025, will be built in the US, sidestepping some tariff costs, but its $70,000 price tag limits its appeal to a niche market. Dodge teases an electric charger, blending raw performance with efficiency to rekindle the passion of its fan base, who live for the thrill of the drag strip. Ram invests heavily in hybrid trucks, merging power with fuel savings to attract buyers wary of rising fuel and vehicle costs. Chrysler, the perennial underdog, pitches an electric Pacifica, aiming to reclaim its place in American driveways with a family-friendly, eco-conscious offering. These moves are ambitious but fraught with peril. Electric vehicles demand colossal investment, from research and development to retooling production lines, at a time when Stellantis' profits are under siege. Consumers, battered by inflation and skeptical of premium price tags, may hesitate to embrace untested models, especially in a market wary of change. Stellantis must also overhaul its supply chains, sourcing parts domestically, despite higher costs, a move that could stabilize operations but strain finances further. Innovation is non-negotiable, but so is preserving the soul of its brands. Jeep's rugged ethos, Dodge's fearless muscle, Ram's steadfast reliability, and Chrysler's inventive spirit must shine through, even as the economic landscape shifts beneath them. History offers a beacon of hope. Jeep rose from the ashes of World War II, transforming a military workhorse into a civilian icon that conquered trails worldwide. Dodge survived the muscle car wars, forging cult classics like the Charger and Challenger that still turn heads. Ram carved a niche in a truck market dominated by Ford and Chevy, proving its resilience against giants. Chrysler reinvented the minivan, defying skeptics and reshaping family travel. Yet, this crisis is unprecedented, a policy earthquake that redefines the industry's foundations. Stellantis must act with precision, balancing global pressures with local demands, all while honoring the workers who build its vehicles and the customers who drive them. The company's survival hinges on its ability to adapt, innovate, and endure in a world where borders are both barriers and bridges. The future of Jeep, Dodge, Ram, and Chrysler hangs in the balance. Tariffs could erase these brands from American roads. But their survival isn't just about economics, it's about saving America's heart. Jeep, Dodge, Ram, and Chrysler are the heartbeat of America. They power road trips across endless highways, fuel drag races under neon lights, haul loads on dusty construction sites, and carry families to cherished vacations. These brands are woven into the nation's identity, symbols of aspiration, resilience, and freedom. Losing them would be more than an economic blow, it would be a cultural catastrophe, tearing at the fabric of a nation that sees itself in their chrome and steel. The tariffs, meant to safeguard this legacy, risk extinguishing it, placing Stellantis at a pivotal crossroads. Adapt to a world where borders blur or cling to a fading model and face collapse. The path forward demands bold, unflinching action. Streamline supply chains, even at a premium, to reduce exposure to tariffs and stabilize production. Invest in upskilling workers, equipping them with the tools to thrive in a future where automation, robotics, and AI redefine manufacturing. Engage customers transparently, offering financing deals, loyalty perks, or extended warranties to soften the blow of price hikes. Above all, preserve the essence of these brands, ensuring Jeep's trails remain wild, Dodge's engines roar with defiance, Ram's loads stay steady, and Chrysler's dreams burn bright. These brands are not just products, they are promises, and Stellantis must keep them. This crisis is a clash of nations, a test of wills between U.S. ambition and the partnership of Canada and Mexico. The tariffs are a clarion call, not just for Stellantis but for the entire auto industry. Global supply chains, once a source of strength, are now a vulnerability in an era of rising protectionism. The U.S. seeks independence, but the global economy is a living organism, its parts interconnected like the roots of an ancient tree. Sever one, and the whole risks collapse. Stellantis must navigate this tension, forging a future where innovation, resilience, and unity prevail. The company's choices will shape not only its fate but the cultural and economic landscape of a nation and the world beyond. The tariff storm is here, but Stellantis can still triumph. Jeep, Dodge, Ram, and Chrysler face their darkest hour. Yet, their resilience could light the way for America's future. The tariff storm rages, and the wheel of fate turns. Jeep's trails grow treacherous, Dodge's engines falter, Ram's burdens grow heavier, and Chrysler's dreams flicker in the wind. Yet, these brands have faced tempests before, emerging stronger, forged in the crucible of adversity. With grit, ingenuity, and solidarity, they can endure this crisis. The road ahead is fraught with peril, but the spirit of American manufacturing forged in factories, fueled by workers, and driven by loyal customers will not yield. Stellantis must rise, not just for profit, but for the heart and soul of a nation. Let us steer through the storm, together, and emerge into a brighter dawn, an economic landscape of a nation and the world beyond. The tariff storm is here, but Stellantis can still triumph. Jeep, Dodge, Ram, and Chrysler face their darkest hour. Yet, their resilience could light the way for America's future. The tariff storm rages, and the wheel of fate turns. Jeep's trails grow treacherous, Dodge's engines falter, Ram's burdens grow heavier, and Chrysler's dreams flicker in the wind. Yet, these brands have faced tempests before, emerging stronger, forged in the crucible of adversity. With grit, ingenuity, and solidarity, they can endure this crisis. The road ahead is fraught with peril, but the spirit of American manufacturing forged in factories, fueled by workers, and driven by loyal customers will not yield. Stellantis must rise, not just for profit, but for the heart and soul of a nation. Let us steer through the storm, together, and emerge into a brighter dawn.